Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first live stream on Totally Jacob to review and just like that, season 2. So we're going to do these live streams several times a week. Let me look. I'm in Carrie Bradshaw's, the the AI version of it. It's kind of like a parallel universe, Carrie Bradshaw. I mean, listen, parallel universe Carrie Bradshaw apartment. It's just like a parallel universe Sex and the City, which is now and just like that. So it all kind of fits. But let me shift to the side and let me blend in the star-studded cast. Hit it, Bubbles. There you go. So here we go. We'll go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the And Just Like That Season 2 live stream. We're going to be reviewing episode 1 and episode 2. This is going to be a recurrent live stream event going on a weekly basis on my Totally Deco Pop Culture channel. So be sure to subscribe, thumb up the live stream, thumb up the video later on, because there's a lot of fun coming up. And I got to say, it's also the 1-year anniversary of my channel. Could you believe? Yeah, June. It's the 1-year anniversary of Totally Jacob. And it's been a while that we've live streamed on this channel because I was focusing more on my other channels, on my Super Deco main channel and then my Essentially Deco perfume channel. But now we're back in full gear and full force, and we're back to Totally Deco. So hello, welcome to all my co-chatters. Hi Gloria, hey Jake, hi Debbie, hey T-Pal, Picky Ricky, Letty, Gloria Recinos, how's it going, baby? Hello. Hi to everybody. I posted it on social medias and I was saying, like, starting the live stream. I think Frozen Luxury was in the house as well. Hi, Saya. So I have my little pink moment wearing Jeremy Scott for Adidas from back in 2015 with his LA vibes. Why are we in LA vibes? Well, because this little creature here, Miranda, is in LA with Che Diaz. So it's good to have all of these characters here, because I know that a lot of you don't watch the show, but you like to watch my reviews of the show. So at least like this, we're going to get to know the characters, because we have this, it almost looks like it's the final supper. Who's Jesus in all of this? One doth wonder. Hi, Louie. How's it going? So we'll go. But also I want to say, look, the Italian in me, needs a coffee, and hashtag not sponsored, but I just found these in the supermarket, pocket coffee. Does anybody know from Ferrero? So I have found pocket coffee ice creams. It's so hot here right now. So I'm wearing Jeremy Scott for Adidas 2015, a little bit Versace vibes, Hermes vibes, little Hermes Champ d'Ancre bracelet in silver. We got the Chanel platinum ring, very 1932 Coco. We have the Chanel late 80s vintage clip-on earrings, and I have my little pink fan to match the whole outfit. Pink makeup going along with it. That's the whole vibe, because we want to give our little fashion moment, but also surviving the heat moment for And Just Like That Season 2. So let me open this little ice cream and show it to you. It's such a cutie. Look at this little cutie patootie. So it's covered with little grains of chocolate outside. It's a chocolate coffee. Coffee beans on the grained coffee beans, and then it's covered in chocolate, and then inside it's vanilla with a little bit of stracciatella coffee flavor. So this is going to kind of keep me perky. Oh my God. Oh, so good. Look at that, guys. Oh my God. And that's how it looks on the inside. So we're going to start very chill. Yeah, it's tiny and it's yummy. So, this is so good. So, I've been reading the chats before I went live, and quite a few of you have been writing that you don't watch the show, but you liked my reviews of And Just Like That Season 1 last year. So you're like, I'm just here to see what Jacob has to say about it. But I know that a few of you actually watched it. Coffee. Look at it. It's delicious. So for those of you who kind of don't know my main channel, I do talk a lot about fashion, art, but Totally Jacob is pop culture. We talk, TV shows, movie reviews, happenings around the world, pop cultural phenomena. You know, it can be a toy review, but it can also be and just like that. Now, we've all heard the news beginning of June. Kim Cattrall, who is not in this poster, mind you, hold on, let me turn the microphone. She announced that in an Instagram post, she said, "Happy Pride Month." That was Kim Cattrall's post, beginning of June, where the statement read, Samantha Jones to return, or Kim Cattrall to return as Samantha Jones to And Just Like That, in just a cameo part, one phone call scene only. But you know what? That's enough for all of us to be like, yeah, I'll take any Samantha I can get, honey. You know what I mean? Letty says, oh my God, that sounds delicious. Yeah, a coffee ice cream is the best thing in the world, you guys. Matthew says, I gave up on it halfway through the first episode of season 1. There was something about it that was irritating me, and I still can't put my finger on it, what it was. I have a sneaky suspicion. I know some people say, oh, it's because Samantha was missing. No, but it's a lot of things that were an issue. Like, the audio was weird. The whole sound mixing, sound editing was strange. The writing was very different from Sex and the City. I mean, this is not really Sex and the City. This is And Just Like That. Like the showrunners call it, a new chapter of Sex and the City. But my biggest issue right from the get-go with season 1 was this weird absence of sound. Like, almost no music in the background ever. Very awkward echoes. It almost felt like they didn't even want to hide the fact that a lot of the times they were filming on a studio, like sound stage. Because the original Sex and the City series had a lot more like sound mixing and sound editing and post-production going on, and it was just much better. And the most important thing, we were missing the voiceover of Carrie Bradshaw. Now, Sex and the City had, you know, throughout the episode, in several parts of the episode, we would hear Carrie talk off screen describing what was happening in the episode. We don't have that anymore, right? Since season 1, we have Carrie only at the end of every episode. Just at the end saying, and just like that. And then she drops one wisdom, one of her wisdoms. You know, drops one of her wisdoms at the end of every episode. So that was a difference that I had to get used to in season 1 of And Just Like That. Also, the fact that they've changed. I think they started shooting season 1 of Sex and the City back in the late 90s analog. I think it was film. That's why it's like so particularly grainy, the material, which makes it look really, it gives it a film quality. While this show is highly digital. It's high definition, I think 4K or 8K even, and then they downsize it to 4K for some televisions. I don't know, but it's very, very, the modern footage sound is minimal. I mean, audio mixing is minimal. And then the quality of the actual film, of like the facial features of the characters, everything is very digital now, you know, very high res. The grain is gone. And the voiceover of Carrie is missing. So I think those were like the biggest elements. I'm not going to lie. You get used to the fact that Samantha isn't there. I thought I was going to miss her much more. I do miss her, but the show works without her too. Sorry, Kim. It was kind of, you know what I mean? Now, I know a lot of people really did not like the first season. And so a lot of reviews out there of people bashing season 1. I was one of those rare kind of reviewers on YouTube that was not bashing it. So, I don't know. Maybe that's why quite a few people also liked my reviews, because I was like more acceptant of it. Now, as for season 2, Let me finish my coffee ice cream, and then we'll get to it. Oh my God, so good. Oh, hey, James, how's it going? Hashtag sorry, Kim. Yeah. Yeah. I love Kim Cattrall. I love Samantha. I'm thrilled that she's going to come back, even though she's going to come back just for, apparently, for one scene. On the phone. Not interacting in one room with any of the characters, just alone. On the phone, talking to Carrie. Whatever. I'll take any Kim I can get, honey, because I love her. But I'm sure she did this for the fans, that she decided to return despite the fact that she was very adamant to come back and was like no, I don't want to have anything to do with these ladies. I don't want to have anything to do with the showrunner, Michael Patrick King. Is that his name? Hi, Teresa. How's it going, sweetie? Okay. Okay. Done with the pocket coffee. Let me take a sippy. Oh my gosh, this was so good. Hey, Katie, how's it going? So, of course, she did it for the money. I wasn't born yesterday. I'm sure they offered her a lot of money. Because to swallow your pride, even though you said, like, words were said, statements were made on all sides. You know what I mean? Like, Kim Cattrall made some statements. You know, Sarah Jessica Parker made some statements. Michael Patrick King made some statements publicly about the whole debacle, about Kim Cattrall not coming back to the show and why, and the feud and all that stuff. So things were said, honey. And to swallow your pride after all was said and done, and to say and announce, I'm coming back for season 2. I mean, I will be appearing in season 2, Kim Cattrall. It takes guts, because you know people are going to come for you and say, oh, you got double standards. First you said never, never, ever, never, ever, ever would you ever return. And yet here you are making one cameo appearance, which is probably going to be in the last episode, on the phone. And condition apparently was that she did not want to see anybody on set from the main cast. She didn't want to see Kristen Davis, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Cynthia Nixon. And she did not want to see Michael Patrick King. She's like, and Patricia Field styled her. Patricia did not style anybody in the show except for Kim Cattrall. I mean, we'll go. So, you know what I mean? So, of course, people can come for you. But then a lot of fans accepted this and said, you know what, Kim, she's cool. She did this for the fans. She decided to have this cameo appearance just for the fans. I'm like, yeah, okay, she's a cool chick. I can see that. But she also did it for the money. Now, just my opinion, everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, not rooted in any truths or facts. Everything's alleged and just my opinion. So I can only speculate why and how Kim Cattrall came back. Or not came back, decided to partake in a cameo appearance, which I believe is going to be in the last episode of season 2, in a phone call with Carrie Bradshaw. So I guess Kim Cattrall filmed her cameo alone on a sound stage somewhere in March. Sarah Jessica Parker filmed her part of that conversation with Kim Cattrall at a later date. So they're just going to edit them together, even though they filmed them separately. And so then the news leaked, and Kim Cattrall then posted on her social, she like combined, I guess, the fact that it was Pride Month with the fact that she's coming to, and just like that. So she said, Happy Pride Month. I'm coming here. So listen, I'm happy she's coming back for whatever reason. If she wanted money, she got money. If she wanted anybody from the cast here to apologize to her, maybe they did. I don't know. Whatever her conditions were, apparently they were fulfilled because she is making a cameo appearance. Now, let's get through the first. Hey, Johnny. How's it going, sweetie? Oh, could you imagine if her one phone call pay was the equivalent of Sarah Jessica Parker's for one show, that would be something. Well, Sarah Jessica Parker and Davis, as well as Nixon, they're all three are executive producers of the show. So they are earning a lot of money. I do believe that still this little lady here might be earning more than the other two. I don't know. We don't know. We can only speculate. But as execs, they're earning a lot. Plus, Cynthia is also directing 1 or 2 episodes this season. At least one. I've seen her kind of like directing one in one of those, shots that somebody filmed on the streets of New York while they were shooting an episode. Because they don't only shoot on sound stages, they also shoot in the city. And she was, she had her headphones on and her little board, and like she was behaving like a director of that episode. She did direct 1 or 2 episodes of season 1. So they're earning money. You earn extra money if you're the director. You earn extra money if you're an executive producer. A lot more. You earn extra money if you're an actor. You earn extra money if you're a starring actor. You earn even extra money if you're the main character. So you see what I mean? They're earning good money. But however, I do believe that Kim Cattrall definitely, for that cameo, earned a lot. I don't think that they just said symbolic here. Here's a donut. Enjoy. Abundanza. No, I think that they gave her, I don't know how many figures. We don't know, but we can only imagine the figures were big figures. Thumb up the live stream if you're enjoying it, guys, and subscribe. So now let's get to know a little bit the cast of characters. I have here the name. I have my list here prepared. So starting off with this lady that is wearing a ginormous flower in Tyrian pink, Coco's favorite color. This is Carrie Bradshaw, the character, and the actress is Sarah Jessica Parker. She is the main character of And Just Like That, just like she was the main character of Sex and the City. Then here we got Kristen Davis. Her character in the show is Charlotte York. Charlotte York is married in the show to this guy. Okay? This guy is a lawyer in the show. His real name, the actor's name, is Evan Handler. Evan or Even, I think it's Evan. Evan Handler. And his character in the show is Harry Goldenblatt. So Charlotte is married to Harry. Then the other co-star of the show is the actress Cynthia Nixon. Now, where is she here on my list? So Cynthia Nixon is still, her character in the show is still Miranda Hobbs. Why am I saying still? Because, and like I said, spoiler alert, we're entering spoiler territory here. Miranda was married to Steve Hobbs in Sex and the City, in the original show. And in season 1 of And Just Like That, Miranda and Steve broke up. So I guess they're still officially not divorced. Maybe they are. But however, here on the official list, I have her named as Miranda Hobbs. Still Hobbs, the surname. Now, Miranda left Steve for Che Diaz. Che Diaz, gender non-conforming character of the show. Che Diaz is a comedian, a stand-up comedian in And Just Like That. So yes, Miranda left her husband. Miranda also has kids with her husband, ex-husband, but she left her husband for Che Diaz. Now, Che Diaz is played by Sara Ramirez. Sara Ramirez. Now, I don't know if Sara Ramirez is also gender non-conforming, like Sarah's character, Che is, but in the TV show, Che is they. So we will refer to Che as they. Born biologically a woman, I guess, but they. So Miranda is together with Che. Here in this picture, we have Miranda's son. There he is, Ginger, just like mommy. And the son, do I have him on the list here? Brady Hobbs. Brady Hobbs is the son, and his real name, the actor's name, is Niall Cunningham, or Neil. I think it's Niall. Niall. Niall Cunningham. Hi, Trey B. Trey B says, thank you for explaining. Never seen any of it. Okay, well, good. So Miranda's son is Brady, and Miranda is dating Che. Kristen, Charlotte York, she used to kind of coordinate a art gallery, but I guess she's out of a job since she married a lawyer. They could not have kids. I think she was challenged in the children department, so they adopted a few kids. These are the two kids right at the side of this poster. Okay, the two kids, they have, at the beginning of season 1, they have 2 daughters. Season 1 of And Just Like That. But throughout season 1, this bottom daughter here has her coming out and also is gender nonconforming. So, so this daughter is also now they. Okay? And this daughter is now called Rock. So it's not a daughter anymore, right? So this is Rock. This daughter is, oh, hold on. I got my list here. Lily York Goldenblatt. So the character's name is Lily York Goldenblatt. And the real actress's name is Kathy Ang. So that's Kathy Ang. And Rock, is Rock on my list? Rock is not on my list. Hold on. Oh, why is Rock not on my list? The travesty. I'm looking. Now I got Lily York Goldenblatt. I got Brady. Bobby, Leroy. Oh, there, I found. Okay. Oh, interesting. They're not telling me the name of the actress. Maybe Alexa Swinton. So, in real life, this could be Alexa Swinton, but the character's name in the TV show is Rose Goldenblatt. Now, however, Rose wants to be called Rock. Interesting connection between Rock and Rose, because the new name came out during season 1, and I said, oh, Rock Rose is labdanum. It's another word for labdanum, which is one of the most beautiful smelling resins that come out of a plant. So even though it's called rock rose, it's not really a flower, because the essential resin doesn't come out of a flower, but rather comes out of the stem or the leaves. If you cut them or hurt them, the plant exudes this resin to heal itself, and that has a particular smell, and it's harvested and collected to create perfumes. Some of the best perfumes in the world were made out of rock rose. So it's kind of interesting that the character starts off at rose and then transforms to rock. Moving on to the new characters. So of course we got Che Diaz, but also since Sex and the City was not considered very diverse back in the 90s and the early 2000s, it was all about these white women ruling the world of New York. So now they're trying to kind of step it up and fix that by adding a more diverse cast of characters. So in season 1, we saw the introduction of 4 new characters, one being Che, of Mexican descent. Then we got Seema. Now, Seema, forgot the surname, Seema Patel. Seema Patel is acted by Sarita Chaudhuri. Sorry if I pronounced the name wrong. So I do believe that's Sarita, I don't know, Indian? Pakistani? Not so sure. You guys, does anybody know in the chats? So Seema kind of at the beginning of season 1 felt like she would be the new Samantha, but she's not. She's strong. Yes, she takes what she wants. You know, she's a realtor. She sells apartments and stuff like that and is very successful, but she's not that cocky like Samantha. She doesn't do that. She doesn't have that way of talk. You know what I mean? She doesn't do that. Seema is more, she's more a lady. You know, she's less of a, I'm going to take you by the balls and do it my way. She still does it her way, but she's a little bit more toned down than Samantha. So what we thought was going to be the new Samantha, in reality, she has enough strength of character on her own to deliver her own performance and to be her own character. So that's Seema. Then another new character we got, Indian. Okay, Katie says Sarita is Indian, of Indian descent. I guess Sarita is American. I mean, I don't know. I think by now she has an American passport, I would say. I don't know. Was she born in the US? I don't know. But either way, you see what I mean? It's a diversity that they were looking for. So they cast extra characters. So we got Sarita as Seema. Then here we have Dr. Naya. Now, Dr. Naya, is her husband there? No, he's not. Okay. So where did she go here on my list? Dr. Naya Wallace. All right. Dr. Naya Wallace, played by Karen Pittman. She is a college professor that Miranda goes to because in season 1, she wants to, she's a lawyer. She's a certified lawyer, professional, practicing lawyer, but she wants to change her life. She's bored of all of that. She wants a new life. She wants a new perspective. She wants to learn about the world. And she realizes that all that white privilege that she has. And so she wants to learn about Black culture and in general, other cultures than just herself. So she goes through this whole transformation phase in season 1. And she starts taking her class, Dr. Naya Wallace's class. And they become friends throughout season 1. Towards the end of season 1, Miranda is fully together with Che, and Che gets a role, basically gets cast to leave New York and go to Los Angeles to do a sitcom, kind of like Roseanne Barr, like a sitcom that is all about their life, like a biography about their life, about Che's life. And so Miranda decides to drop her life in New York, everything she's doing in New York, and she decides at the end of season 1 to go move to LA with Che while Che is working on the show. We find out in season 2, episode 1, that the show that Che is working on, the somewhat autobiographical show, is called Che Pasa. Now, you guys, okay, before we go any further, of course, it's kind of a word game on the Spanish que pasa, and it's spelled Q-U-E, que. In Spanish, que means what. It's spelled Q-U-E. So que pasa means what's up. What's going down? What's happening? So when you tell somebody que pasa, tío, like what's up, dude? That's kind of the word game, but they transformed that to Che, and Che is spelled C-H-E, like Che Guevara. So we got Che Diaz, and the show that depicts their biographical life is Che Pasa. Now, I do believe that the writer, I hope, okay, I don't know what I believe anymore, but I do hope that the authors, that the writers of the show, and just like that, I hope that they purposefully chose this to be cringe, like, so that they can also have Che say, yeah, I don't really like this. But we don't know yet, right? Because we're only 2 episodes in, and we're going to get to all the issues that Che is having with the show in LA, but we're going to get to that in a minute. So anyway, right. Dr. Naya Wallace is trying to get a kid with her hubby. It's not working for them. I guess she cannot carry a pregnancy through till the end. Her hubby really wants a child, and so the whole season 1 was a struggle for that. And then they end up without a kid at the end of season 1. In season 2, the husband is a musician. He's traveling somewhere, touring, concert, what have you. And Dr. Naya is at home in New York, horny. But he's not there. So she gets approached by a dude. We're going to get to all of that. But anyway, so she's the one who, of all of these characters, is kind of broken up. The relationship is not really there anymore. But we're going to get to that when we analyze episode per episode. And so that's Dr. Naya. Her hubby is not on this photo. Then another new character is Nicole Ari Parker. That's this lovely actress right here. That is her real name, or her actor name. Nicole Ari Parker plays Lisa Todd Wexley. So her character name is Lisa Todd Wexley in the show. She's also one of the characters that were introduced for the first time ever in season 1. Her husband is right there above her. Do I have the hubby on my list? Oh, I do, but there's no photo here on the list. Okay, so it's Herbert Wexley is the character of the show. Herbert Wexley. They're quite wealthy, very wealthy. She buys art, very expensive stuff. I don't know if he's a lawyer as well or something, politician. I don't know what he is, but they're very wealthy. He's acted by Christopher Jackson. Christopher Jackson is the actor's name, but Herbert is his character name, and this is Lisa, the wife. Now, we've gone through all of them except here, one of our OG actors from the original Sex and the City show. And this would be Anthony Marentino, or Anthony Marentino, but I guess you got to do it the New York way, so it's Anthony Marentino. So Anthony Marentino is acted by Mario Cantone. Now, Mario Cantone, of course, pronounced again in proper American would be Mario Cantone. So you got Mario Cantone. He is kind of somewhat the comedic gay relief. Him, together with another character, them two were the gay characters of the original show, and the other character was Stanford Blatch, acted by Willie Garson. Willie Garson, heterosexual actor in real life, acted as a gay character on the show, while Mario Cantone is openly gay in real life. And unfortunately, Willie Garson passed away in the middle of shooting season 1 of And Just Like That. So how they solved that issue by saying that he moved to Japan. And now he's living in Japan. And we hear from him. They did not cut him out of the show. They mention him from time to time as being in Japan, working on some fashion stuff. He sends Carrie kimonos and postcards from time to time. But the actor is actually no longer on this planet. But the character still lives on in the show, even though we never see him anymore. And also, they were kind of antagonists. Stanford and Anthony were kind of enemies in the OG show in the 90s and 2000s, but then in the movies they ended up marrying each other, so they were actually a married couple. And season 1 of And Just Like That begins with Anthony and Stanford together bickering. They always have their little bickering fight moments. They were really kind of, in the original show, quite representative of a very big cliche, a gay cliche. Like they were the gay best friend that is funny, that is always a little bit superficial, loud, shrill, all that jazz. So obviously, by the way, the showrunner, Michael Patrick King, also, I think openly gay. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I think a lot went down with HBO Max. Season 1 was on HBO Max. Rewriting it, like making it more inclusive, touching base on topics without making fun of certain topics like homosexuality, going through different phases of discovering your own gender, all that stuff. So it did appear, and the biggest critique that the show got for season 1 was, woke. And this is, again, one of those words that can get you canceled because, again, it belongs to a certain culture. Not everybody can use it, yada, yada. it is what it is. But a lot of people say, you're trying so forcefully to make this show inclusive of everything. And you're so cautious of making it inclusive of everything that you kind of sacrificed the spirit of the show by doing so, because it's like you're walking on needles, careful about jokes you're making, careful about the humor you're using. Sex and the City is a show that basically talks about 4 women having sex in New York. I mean, it's literally that superficial. Yes, fashion plays a role and there's moral there as well. But bottom line, it was a very superficial show that gave a lot of people a lot of fun moments. But it was not very inclusive. That is true. So how do you make a show like that inclusive all of a sudden? Of course, you're going to have to go through a period of cramped modification of the structure of the show. And yeah, it's going to most likely, if you don't have really very talented writers working on the show. And season 1 was... well, let's just say the writing could have been better. It could have been worse, but you know what I mean? So it did feel a little bit clumsy. It's like Sex and the City trying to be politically correct. When in reality, most of the fame of Sex and the City was because they were not politically correct, but times have changed. So it's kind of hard in modern day American entertainment society to deliver this type of comedy. Oh my gosh, Amy, thank you so much, sweetie.
Sending love.
Oh, Bubbles has such a cute voice here on this channel. Oh my God, what a surprise. Thank you so much, sweetie. Bubbles, can you pop a cherry? It worked. Thank you. Thank you so much, my love. That was the first tip that we ever got here. So thank you so much. Wow, you literally popped our cherry, Amy. So we'll go. If you wish to tip the host, just scan here. Oh, it's gone. Okay, hold on. If you wish to tip the host, where did it go? There. We'll go. With your phone, you can scan here, and then the proceeds go to the Fashion Bunker. Thank you so much, guys. Or also, you can just click at the top of the chat. There is a link. You can tip directly there as well. Thank you, Amy, so much. So, and I've been watching a lot of reviews of the show of season 1, when it came out, and a lot of people reviewing it. A lot of people were very harsh towards the show, very, very mean, and quite frankly, a lot of people were really criticizing Sarah Ramirez and her performance, or their performance as Che. Che being so unlikable and this and that. Like, oh my gosh, I felt really sorry for Sarah, because Sarah did not deserve all that hate, and Che also did not really. And I thought that a lot of people that were serving that type of criticism, and they would never say it, they would never admit openly that they have like homophobe or whatever, this or that, or transphobe. But that's the way it came through. And certain people are still at it. As season 2 began, they're still posting their reviews, throwing so much hate and shade at this character that it is just really disgusting. I think we got your message. You know who you are, making these videos just for clout and clickbait. You don't have to repeat 50,000 freaking times in your freaking reviews that you hate Che, you hate Che, you hate. It's like, it's a lot. Stop it. It's really, really very, very poor taste, in very poor taste. Hi, Jesse Johnson. Oh, hey, Bible-believing Christian. How's it going, sweetie? Hey, Fancy Pants. So anyway, I get it that season 1 was a little bit clumpy, and it was a little bit ditzy and clumsy, and the writing was trying to, it was trying to find its position. Like, how can we do Sex and the City, but make it something new, which is not Sex and the City anymore. It's now called And Just Like That, but then also implement all of these new characters and try to be more inclusive, try to do better. than what we did in the 90s. And I thought they really made an effort, you guys. They really did. Now, having said all that, Carrie was married to Mr. Big. It was the guy that she was dating and breaking up with and dating again and breaking up with in the original show for 6 seasons plus 2 movies. Mr. Big and Carrie, that was all the storyline. And she finally marries Mr. Big. Season 1 of And Just Like That begins with Mr. Big kicking the bucket, basically. As Carrie is at a concert, I think this little lady here is playing the piano, and Charlotte, I think, was Miranda there? Probably Miranda was there as well. Mario, oh God, I forgot that. Anthony was there as well. So they're all like listening to her play. And then in that moment, actually, Mr. Big is at home on a Peloton on one of his like bike things. And that's where he gets a heart attack. Carrie, as she comes back home, she sees him on the floor. She gets to hug him, say a few words to him, and then he's gone. So the whole first season was about her kind of getting over the passing of her husband. It's quite a heavy season, going through all of that pain and learning to be alone again, living on your own, and dating again. Now, mind you, by now, they're in their 50s. I want to say 50s or 60s. I don't know. So it's a whole new type of dating scenario than when they were in their early 30s, when the show first began. So you have to take that in consideration as well. The writers have to give these ladies a new purpose in life. They have to reinvent how they're dating again at their age. What are their interests? They've grown as well. They've evolved as well. So there's a lot to consider, and it's not easy to reboot a show. And just like that, haha, funny. And just like that, make it the same success it was in the late 90s. You can't, because people have certain expectations that you can't deliver those expectations anymore because everybody has moved on. It's a different scenario now. It's a different world for all of them. So this is why I think we need to take that into consideration and move from there. Having said all that, Carrie starts a podcast called Sex and the City on a radio station. And at the end of season 1, she starts dating the producer of the show, who's not even here because I guess he's out of the show now. And the last scene of season 1 is her with the guy in an elevator. They kiss each other, and she finally manages to open up after Mr. Big's passing, and she manages to feel something for somebody enough strongly to warrant a kiss, a passionate kiss, or maybe even more. But that's the cliffhanger of season 1. Here begins season 2. So let's record the first. Yeah, with the background like that. Okay. And just like that, Season 2, Episode 1 began on the 22nd of June of 2023. So you guys, my name is Dacob. Welcome to Totally Dacob. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and like content like this, and thumb up the video. Listen, we've left off Season 1. Carrie's kissing her producer dude from the And Just Like That podcast on the radio station in an elevator. What's going to happen next? Well, and just like that, season 2 began, and it opens up in a very cute way. We get Elton John and we get Britney Spears singing the hit single of last summer, as we get to see all of these characters, all the main female characters, pop up from either their bathrooms in their respective homes or apartments, or wherever they are at the moment when they were caught in the action. And oh, by the way, from here on out, spoiler alert, full of spoilers, okay? If you haven't watched the show yet, go watch it and then come right back. Grab a snack and let's talk. it's a really beautiful beginning. I found it soft and smooth. We got Britney Spears' voice, we got Elton John's voice, and they're kind of singing to us. And as they're doing that, every character is in their best shape, ready to go to bed with their better halves. So, we get Charlotte ready to go to bed with her hubby. And then they have an encounter moment, and we get to see it on, it's HBO after all, so they show whatever they want to show. And then then we got Lisa here. She is with her hubby right up there. Lisa also is ready to go at it full force. Then we get to see that scene, and then they're copulating as well. Then we also Seema is still dating her dude from season 1 that owns several clubs in the city, who was also the actor who acted the Prada sales associate in the original Sex and the City, but he's now a totally different character and Just Like That. So they're still apparently together. One doth wonder for how long. Then we got Miranda is together with Che, and in LA, they've moved to LA because Che is now working on their show, Che Pasa, about their life. Che Pasa is a word game, and actually spelled Q-U-E. Pasa would mean que pasa. Que pasa means what's up, what's happening. But they spelled it differently, Che, as the name of Che, and then it turned into Che Pasa. I mean, I know, terrible. But I hope that the writers used that on purpose to make it be cringe, because I think they're setting up Che to not want to do this show after all. But we're going to get there. The only issue we're having is with Naya, Dr. Naya, because Dr. Naya is alone. Her husband, who's a musician, who wants to have a baby, but in season 1, we've seen that Dr. Naya could not. He's traveling somewhere. He's on tour, I guess. He's in some hotel somewhere. And so Dr. Naya is kind of, well, let's just say her sexcapade is with her and herself in the opening scene. Let's just leave it at that. Now, so it's kind of cool. Like, some people might say, oh, it's a little bit cringe that season 2 begins that way. But I thought it was a beautiful way of introducing these characters. It gives us a little bit of a healthy Sex and the City vibe. Why am I saying this? Because first of all, it's music in the background. We don't have that silence that was so kind of deafening to me in season 1. If you guys remember, season 1 was the audio mixing was not the best in season 1. First of all, we lost Carrie's overlapping voiceover throughout every episode, which is something she used to do in the original Sex and the City. Now she doesn't do that anymore, so we don't hear her. And I still miss that narrating voice of Carrie Bradshaw. She does say something at the end of every episode. Only at the end of an episode, when the episode is about to end, she says, like, and just like that. And then she adds something to, and just like that, I knew hope again. Or, and just like that, I was blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? But I miss that. And then also there's a lot of silence throughout the show. They don't really mix audio. They don't add a lot of music. They don't add a lot of external sounds. So it's very much echoey, the audio, especially when we are confronted with Charlotte. Notice this, every time we have a scene of Charlotte in her home with Harry, with her hubby, when Charlotte and Harry are together in their house, there's always this weird, uncomfortable silence in just the atmospheric audio of the space. And whenever Charlotte talks, there's a slight echo. It's almost like they're in a cave talking every time. So it's very bizarre. I don't know why they're doing that. But alas, it is what it is. Now I'm having the feeling it's a little bit less so, like it wasn't, as opposed to season 1. They began with music. They began with a blast. Love the song. Love Britney. And action begins, and it begins with them being their best selves. They're not depressed. There's no passing of anybody. Everybody's alive. Everybody's well. And I love that vibe. I love the positivity. because season one began, with the lockdown, with the pandemic just ending. Everybody's like still scared to be out with other people. Then Mr. Big kicks the bucket, and it was just all so heavy. Now it's a little bit more lighthearted. Carrie is dating. I forgot to mention, right? Carrie walks through her walk-through closet at the beginning of her scene, from the bathroom into the bedroom, and who's waiting for her in the bedroom? It's her producer dude from Argentina. I think he's Argentinian. Correct me if I'm wrong. So the producer of And Just Like That, the podcast on the radio station, is now her little Thursday fling. We find out right away that Carrie and he meet up every Thursday. Why? Because Carrie has her podcast every Thursday, the Sex and the City podcast on the radio. And then after the podcast recording every Thursday, them two go to her place and do a little, fidget the digit. And so yeah, we'll go. And then they fidget the digit. And then he watches cooking shows on YouTube. We'll go. I found that really cute. Actually, I love when Sex and the City adds these little writing moments. It's adorable. So they've just had their little fidgeting the digiting, and then he's like with a laptop watching a cooking show, and Carrie's like, "Your cooking show, all right." He's like, "Yeah, it relaxes me. I like to watch a cooking show." I mean, listen, those little details make it super cute for me. I also love to watch like stuff like that. It calms me down. There's like channels on YouTube that I watch that like have nothing to do with my usual interests, but I just watch them if the content creator has a particularly soothing and nice voice, or because the topic is just relaxing for me. Like we all have that when we're in bed at night, just leave something on and you fall asleep to it. At least that's me. And just like that, I fell asleep to another true crime podcast. Well, that's Jacob for you. I am that weirdo. But anyway, how do you, Jacob, says Gloria? Yeah. Zara Justina, yes, I am in Carrie's apartment, darling. The AI version of it from a parallel universe. Just Like That is a parallel universe TV show. So, let me blend out the photo for a second so you get to see the digital. I asked Bubbles, my AI bot for my channel, to generate from AI memory the apartment of Carrie Bradshaw. So obviously it's not the apartment of Carrie Bradshaw, but you see, Zara, you thought it was because it has something, right? It has, let me move to the side so you can see. It has something of it. Maybe it's the sun coming through here and that kind of armchair, the warmth of the light. It gives us Carrie Bradshaw apartment vibes, even though it's obviously not. But anyway, interesting that you thought it was because I was going for that vibe. Okay, let me blend in back the photo. Oh, thank you, Louis. I'm going to take that as a compliment. Louis says, I fell asleep with your voice sometimes. You make me fall asleep. Haha. I'm going to take that as a compliment. Not that you're just saying that I'm like boring, but hey, we'll go. So anyway, Franklin, thank you. Oh, thanks, Bible. Bible says her fling is called Franklin. Her producer's name is Franklin. So he's watching the cooking show, and I thought that was really cute. But so basically, the whole episode revolves around one topic, very light topic, nothing heavy. I think the writers really got the memo. I think the writers got the memo to make the first episode light and easy. Why? Because the first episode of season 1 was the heaviest ever, because Mr. Big passes away in episode 1. It's a very heavy episode, and it sets the tone for the entire season. Pardon me. So season 2, episode 1 is the opposite. It's literally the most superficial and lighthearted you could get. You start with sex, and then it continues with, what's the theme of the episode? The theme of the episode is the Met Ball. Yeah. So all the ladies, all the main characters and side characters are invited to the Met Ball. So basically they spend the entire episode thinking about what they're going to wear to the Met Ball. And of course we have our gay character, Anthony, who is the comedic relief of this episode. Well, together with Miranda because Miranda, she's a hoot. She's so funny. Cynthia Nixon, she is the comedy genius of the show. Like, she's just funny. Che is supposed to be the stand-up comedian. They're still together, by the way, at the beginning of the show. But Miranda delivers the comedic. Anyway, but Anthony is invited to be Charlotte's +1 at the Met Ball. However, Charlotte finds out through her daughter and her gender non-conforming child from Rock. It's hard to, I don't want to make mistakes. So that actually Harry, her hubby, thinks he's invited as Charlotte's +1 to the Met Ball. But Charlotte invited her best friend Anthony as her +1 because she thought her husband doesn't want to go to the Met Ball. However, Harry thinks he is invited. And he's very excited to go to the Met Ball because he wants to get his photo taken on the red carpet. He wants to meet Rihanna. Yeah, I know. Rihanna. That's what he says. He's like happy to meet Rihanna. Charlotte can't figure out why does he really want to go. So she has to uninvite Anthony. Anthony's upset with Charlotte because he was invited by Charlotte. And then Charlotte says, sorry, Harry wants to go and I can't say no to my husband. Now, all of this is happening as Anthony is telling a story of like how he's so mature. He is totally fine with, going on a grinder date, arriving to the apartment of the dude. And then he's telling a story of like, yeah, I'm totally used to it. I go in, the guy's looking at me, I start blowing or whatever. And he's like, you know what? I'm not feeling it. And then he says, I'm so mature now, I don't even care. I just end up like, you're not feeling it? Okay, fine, bye. Next. So he's kind of telling the ladies that he is, rejection doesn't matter to him. There's the next guy waiting in line. And that's when Charlotte says, oh, good. Well, I'm rejecting you to the Met Ball because my hubby wants to go instead. And then he's like, no. And she's like, well, that's how it goes. But the funny comedic moment of all of this is as he was blowing the dude on his back, somebody did like poke, 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 poke. And he's like, looks up and the guy's like, yeah, I'm just not feeling it. And that's in that moment, Charlotte pokes at him, said, poke, 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 poke. He's like, what? She's like, yeah, you can't come to the Met Ball. My hubby has to go instead. He's like, why? Harry doesn't even want to go. She's like, I don't know. So anyway, there's that whole comedic thing happening. And then, but then in that moment, Carrie says, you can be my +1. Because Seema was supposed to be Carrie's +1. But she said no for some reason. I forgot now. What was the reason? I don't know. She had some reason she had to cancel. So because she cancels on Carrie, Carrie says to Anthony, you can be my +1. Now, a couple of scenes later, Seema says, oh, you know what? No, I am coming after all. So Carrie then calls Anthony and says, poke, 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 poke. And Anthony's like, you are not uninviting me to the Met Ball. She's like, yes, I am. Seema is coming after all. Oh, thank you, Bible. Bible says Seema was about to meet her boyfriend's son. So she's like, right, thank you so much. Yes, that's actually an important thing. So Seema was about to meet her boyfriend's son, the boyfriend who owns the clubs, who used to be the Prada salesperson as a different character in the original series. So Seema was about to meet the son of the dude she's dating, so she thinks it's a really important thing. However, when she goes to the meeting with the guy and the son, she meets also the guy's ex-wife. Or so she thinks. As he goes to the loo with the son, Seema is left with the ex. And the ex tells her, oh, he still lives with me. Actually, this morning we just had breakfast together. So, of course, Seema freaks out, obviously. So when he comes back with his son to the table for lunch, she's like, Baba, Baba, Baba. Baba. She stands up, she leaves, and she goes outside. Her chauffeur is waiting for her. She calls Carrie, says, I'm back in, bitch. I wants to go to the Met Ball. So then Carrie calls Anthony, says, Anthony, you're uninvited. Anthony's super angry. There's this whole kind of funny thing. And then, but by then, Charlotte is leaving her house with Harry. They're already dressed. So the theme of the Met Ball in that episode, at least, was veiled beauty or hidden beauty. I think it was veiled beauty. For the love of me, y'all, I don't understand what the costume designers were thinking when they dressed up Charlotte's character. Like, she was dressed up like a circus dominatrix, like a ringmaster of the circus, but also like a dominatrix. I was like, how's that veiled beauty? I don't get it. But hey, we'll go. And he's also dressed up like a ringmaster of the circus in a way. I really... It went past my, I don't know why. But anyway, so while they're exiting their their building, Charlotte tells Harry, I don't know why you're coming. And he's like, I got Rihanna, photos on the red. She's like, oh no, honey, we're not that famous. We're not allowed to walk the red carpet. We can access from the side entrance, like, the paying guests, blah, 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 that are not famous. We can have the dinner inside of the Met Ball. But we don't get to meet all the stars, to take photos with the stars. We don't get to walk the red carpet. And then he says, oh, then I don't want to go. If I'm not going to meet Rihanna, I don't want to go. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. He's gone. Now, Charlotte, dressed up as a dominatrix from the circus, she's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So she calls Anthony again and says, Anthony, you're back in. Anthony's in his underwear at home, but he's like, okay. I was upset, but whatever. He rushes off to get dressed and goes to the Met Ball. So there's that he's that gay comedic relief that we know him to be from the original show. He's back at it again. And quite frankly, it was okay. We'll go. Now, Carrie has an issue. As you can see, she's dressed in this floral accord, groundbreaking. But so she needs to be the most fashionable one of all of them. Now, there's one more character here that you do not see. She met him during season 1. He was working also at the radio station with her, and what's his name? Does anybody know in the chat? I forgot his name now. His wife, I think they're married in the show. It's not just his girlfriend, it's his wife. She's a costume designer or a fashion designer. And Carrie is still known in And Just Like That as like a fashion icon and a columnist icon. Oh, Jack and his wife Snow. Thank you, Bible. Thank you so much. So Jackie becomes Carrie's friend in season 1, and his wife, Snow, is the fashion designer. And Carrie says, you know what? I love what you're doing. You're an up-and-coming designer. You're still relatively unknown on the scene. So I want your debut to be with me for the Met Ball. And Snow is super honored, and she says, oh my gosh, I really want to do it. Oh, Snow or Smoke, something like that. It says Bible. Either Snow or Smoke. Yeah, I don't remember. Something with an S. So anyway, on the day of the Met Ball, Jackie comes with his wife to Carrie's apartment. The dress is not finished yet. So you can imagine Carrie, she freaked out. Jackie's wife says, sorry, the seamstress that was supposed to put the dress together, she got the stomach flu. And Carrie said, isn't there another seamstress then? Then Jackie says, no, there's a flu running around. A seamstress flu. And I was like, is that supposed to be a joke? If it was supposed to be a joke, somebody explain it to me, because I was like, a seamstress flu? What gives? Didn't find it funny. Anyway, so then Jackie's wife says, I'll put the dress together for you. We got 6 hours to go. I can make it happen. Of course, it never happens. The dress is tragically unfinished, but the cape of the dress is ready. The cape was ready from the get-go. The thing that was not ready was the dress. Carrie's hair and makeup arrives, and they do her makeup and her hair. And she needs to leave for the Met Ball. The dress isn't finished. So then she says, I might just have something in my teeny tiny closet. And everybody, and I know what's coming, right? The Vivienne Westwood wedding dress that she wore when she was supposed to get married to Mr. Big, with the bird in her hair, with the feather bird in her hair. And then like she throws all the flowers at him and gets super upset when it doesn't happen, the wedding. So that famous dress, which was in, by the way, that's one of the rare dresses that Sarah Jessica Parker does not own. That was made by Vivienne Westwood Couture, bridal. It was lended to them for the show, for Sex and the City, and the movie. The show. The show or the movie? I can't remember anymore. Was it like the first movie or was it the end of season 6? Either way. That dress was hanging for the longest time in the Vivienne Westwood New York boutique. And you could request to see it and they would show it to you. Then the dress was sent back to London to the Vivienne Westwood archives. So for them to get, and mind you, Sarah Jessica Parker owns almost all of the dresses and outfits in her archive storage unit from Sex and the City, but not that dress. So they had to go through a lot of work to get that dress from Vivienne Westwood, to borrow it again for the show. And they got the dress. And so, but the dress is ginormous, but Carrie's closet is teeny tiny. You're like, you know what I mean? She's like, oh, maybe there is a dress I could wear. And like, she pulls out this huge thing. I'm like, this huge dress occupies the entire closet. In fact, that's why we don't see her pull the dress from the closet. What we do see her do is just open the box in which the headpiece with the bird is in. So she takes the bird piece out. The next cut to scene of her going down her famous staircase in New York, dressed in the Vivienne Westwood bridal attire with the dead bird in her head and the blue cape from Jackie's wife. She looks gorgeous. The hair, we'll go. We've seen her do better hair, but it is what it is. And she goes down the staircase. Now, I was thinking that we're going to get to see a bit more of the dress. But you guys, I kid you not, we literally see her go down the staircase, about to cross the street, cut over. And then she says, and just like that, I learned to live with my pain, or something like that, because that dress was painful for her because of the memory, but then she wore it again and gave it new meaning. But we literally see her wear the dress 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then it's over. And I'm like, wow, they really went through hoops to get that dress for the show, and she wears it for 10 seconds? What gives, girl? I thought it was a missed opportunity. Also, we do not get to see the ladies meet together at the Met Ball. That was also so sad to me. Now, Lisa, she's of course gorgeous. She, is like super rich, has all the fashion in the world. There's a lot of fidgeting. There's a lot of fidgeting going on between Lisa and her hubby. So throughout the entire episode 1 and I think 2, so they're kind of in the middle of something, and she needs to get dressed, and she's wearing Valentino Couture, similar dress, just different colorway to what Naomi Campbell wore a couple of months back. She wore it in pink with a huge feather piece all over her head, and you just saw Naomi Campbell almost bumping into stuff because she didn't see where she was. Well, it was hilarious, but she wore the red version of that dress, and they had to walk to the Met Ball because they couldn't get a car big enough for her headpiece to go in. So she's dressed in that red Valentino dress with a huge feather piece on her head. We got the dominatrix circus look, and then we got the Vivienne Westwood bridal attire. Seema was wearing, I think, this colorway. She's always in these natural muted tones. It was a beautiful dress, but quite, I want to say, serious and conservative. Considering that it's the Met Ball, you could have pushed it a bit more. She did have a headpiece as well, but nothing major. Now, that's the end of the episode, but they never meet at the Met Ball. And I was waiting this whole build-up. The bird fascinator, Gloria. I was waiting for this. They were building it up. They're going to the Met Ball. I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so beautiful. Episode 1 is going to end. with them meeting everybody arrives, Lisa arrives on foot because, she couldn't get a car, so you see her walk in and she's like, tired, but super happy to meet her friends. And they all meet together, and Carrie's with her wedding dress, and they all meet. And then they're sent through the side entrance because they can't access the main red carpet. But so it could have been like a comedic moment of like a wah, wah, wah. But us fans and watchers, we would have had a moment with these characters, like a bonding moment of like, we're all going together to the Met Ball through the side door. Like, we're going to sneak in and we're going to see what's happening. That bonding moment would have been so cool to implement, but they didn't. They never show the girls coming together for the Met Ball. And I thought that was a major missed opportunity for this episode. On another note, Miranda and Che are having a situation where we're going to see more of this instance of Miranda kind of being, well, she's very naked throughout the whole show. Well, the 2 episodes. She's basically Che's guest in LA because Miranda doesn't have a life in LA. She doesn't know what to do in LA, right? So she goes into the sensory deprivation tank to float, calm herself down. Doesn't really work. Then she gets locked inside of the tank and wants to come out and pushes open. And then she's butt naked, wiggling her way out. And I'm like, you know what? More power to you, girl. Cynthia Nixon is not afraid. She gave me Betty Davis vibes, you guys. Like, she was ready to go full on body in the most uncomfortable position as she's kind of falling out of the sensory deprivation tank, jiggling, then wiggling and everything. And she went for it. And I really respect her for that. Like, she was not afraid to show imperfection. And that's perfection. So for everybody, there's a lot of people coming for Cynthia Nixon saying, oh, she's over the top. Her acting is too loud. She still hasn't got a hold of it. She's like too much of a comedian. And I'm like, no, she knows exactly what she's doing. She is making a caricature of herself because she's lost. She doesn't know where she stands yet, I mean, not Cynthia Nixon, Miranda, her character. And she's trying so hard to fit into this new world, but she still feels out of place. And her acting is great, in my opinion. She's funny, Cynthia Nixon. She's funny. She's not afraid to show herself in the most ugly of ways. I don't mean by body. By ugly, I mean uncomfortable. Like, being hysterical in the way that she laughs about things, or being pushed away by Che and not knowing how to react to that. And, these are ugly situations that she's in, but she's not afraid to go there. And Cynthia Nixon is an executive producer. So she has the power to say, hey, let's not do it like this. I want my character to not do that. And instead, it seems like whatever they give her to do, for the most part, she says, okay, I'll do it. And I have a lot of respect for her for doing that. Franklin, who is Carrie's dude from the podcast, he says, well, we're meeting, Thursdays after the podcast for a little, fidget the digit. But how about we meet on a Tuesday for a little rendezvous on a rooftop, some, I don't know, concert, something. Oh, no, a presentation or a launch of some drink. She says yes, but she doesn't want to because she's not ready to commit to more than just fidget the digit on a Thursday with Franklin. So weirdly, she has a phone call with Che about this. Why not call Samantha about this? Why not call Miranda? Why not call Charlotte? Why call Che? Well, Che is in the bedroom with Miranda as Carrie's calling. Miranda is trying to put on a harness, and the harness has a, thing attached to it that we cannot say on YouTube. But let me utilize this utensil to show. This is a perfume, by the way. I'm wearing this perfume today. It's my favorite for summer at the moment. Moschino's Cheap and Chic. Yes, this is the silhouette of olive oil, Popeye's olive oil. But you catch my drift. Something similar to this shape was attached to the bottom of the harness. Miranda's trying to put, by the way, we'll go. Oh, let's freshen up a little. Living. So anyway, where was I? So she's trying to put on the thing on her harness and feels uncomfortable about it because, well, she hears Che talking to Carrie. And kind of the gist of the story is, hey, some relationships are just sex. Nothing more than that. Nothing deeper than that. Miranda in that moment felt like she is nothing more than just a sexual pleasure for Che. And like, she felt like Che doesn't want to know anything about her except for just having fun sexually with her. So she takes the harness off and doesn't want to have the sex anymore. And that's that. So, Bible says, since Che used to work with Franklin at the podcast, Carrie wanted more of an inside scoop on Franklin. Well, did she though? Because in that conversation, Che told her, I don't know, it was a weird conversation because it almost felt like Carrie was asking Che an update on how dating works nowadays. Like, she's like, so, like, you know, I'm usually play a little bit with the guy, like, and Che's like, no, be direct. Don't waste his time. If you're not interested, say you're not interested. He can handle that. Well, he can't handle if you kind of lead him along. And I'm like, but that's kind of, isn't that the rule for everyone? Shouldn't you be just nice and kind to everyone that way? And Carrie's like, oh yeah, maybe I should be honest with him. I mean, you guys, Carrie to me is still like it's my least liked character. Let's just put it that way. Carrie to me is always like, what gives, girl? What gives? So anyway, end of episode 1. They're at the Met Ball, but we don't get to see them at the Met Ball. End scene. Subscribe, thumb up this video if you liked it, and jump right on to episode 2. We're going to review it straight away, you guys. Thank you so much. Thumb up, subscribe. Bye. Let me know your thoughts down below too. Mwah. Woo! So let me just stop the recording of this thing. Touch up and jumping into episode 2. Aw, thanks, T-Pal. Twas a beautiful review. Thank you so much. Add a little bit of lip gloss. Let's shine that little icicle. Oh, speaking of, let me take a sip. Oh, Debbie, you call it an appendage? Sure. I call it the Moschino bottle. Olive oil, baby. She was attaching olive oil to the harness. Get your merch at www.superjacob.com. Glasses, t-shirts, a totally Jacob design, all there. Thrills and chills. All right. Hey, the Scots fan, Don J. Been a while. Hello, all. Hey, sweetie. Welcome. Nettie says, I remember reading back in the day that Carrie was based on the writer of the Real Sex and the City column, but that person was actually more like Samantha in reality. Yes. I've seen interviews with the author. What was her name again? But she seemed very well put together and composed. I think kind of all of the characters were her, just split up in different facets of her personality. I think that was kind of the gist of it. Candace, yes, Candace. Ooh. Ah, thank you for subscribing. We still have our Halloween themes here. Thanks for subscribing. We'll go. Yeah, Bushnell. I think it was Bushnell. Oh, Gloria, thank you so much, sweetie.
Great recap.
Oh my God, Bubbles' voice, though, on this channel is to die for. It's so cute. Thank you, sweetie. Papa Cherry, Bubbles. Yes, there you go. Good girl. Bubbles, I mean. Good girl. Well, thing. But what's Bubbles? We still don't know. Now, let's do episode 2. Actually, hold on a minute. Oh my gosh. Let me just fix my hair. It's falling apart. By the way, I am serving my... I don't know why. I was feeling my olive oil vibes with the hair because of the chignon, but also... You're going to laugh. I was feeling my Evita Peron. I was like very much Eva Peron. You know, don't cry for me, totally Jacobians. It's my Eva Peron vibe. So yes, anyway. Okay, let's film part 2. Welcome to the, and just like that, recap, review of episode 2, season 2. Spoilers up ahead. Subscribe while you're at it, and thumb up the video if you're enjoying it, you guys. Listen. We just finished episode 1. All the ladies went to the Met Ball. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see them at the Met Ball. But it was a lighthearted episode. You know, there was nothing tragic happening. Like, there was no... Mr. Big, like a character like Mr. Big passing away or stuff like that. It was all very lighthearted, friendly, easy breezy, a little bit comedic, what have you. Now, episode 2 starts to complicate things a little bit. The gears start grinding, right? Here are our main characters from the show, more or less. Maybe a few are missing, but right off the bat, let's touch base on a complication. Like, these are all kind of relationships. The ladies, more or less, all have relationships. Either they're married or they're dating. However, Dr. Naya is the big first falling apart relationship of season 2. Why? Because her hubby isn't even with her at the moment. The husband is on tour, traveling. She's home alone. She is a professor. And well, she horny. And, so she kind of, well, she's at a bar just drinking with this ginormous bag. And I'm thinking to myself, that's an ugly bag. That bag occupies half the screen. Is that a product placement? You best believe it is. But then I thought to myself, why would they do something like that? Usually when they have bags as product placements, they're kind of a little bit more demure, a little bit more elegant. But this bag was huge. Huge. So Naya is sitting at the bar. This ginormous bag is like she's sitting here. The bag is here. It occupies half the screen. And I'm like, this is so ugly. This is so ugly. And then, of course, we realize there's a reason. This handsome fella comes by to her and says, are you using this bag as a wall to protect you from any other guy? Something like that. I'm paraphrasing. And then I'm like, oh, that's why the bag was so big and ugly. She says, oh, no. She moves the bag away. And I'm like, okay. They needed a big bag to make it clear to us that she's using it to protect herself. Gotcha. So anyway, still ugly bag. Didn't like the bag. The guy starts flirting with her. She shows him the wedding ring and she's like, I is taken, honey. So he's like, oh, my bad, but you're cute. So anyway, he leaves now. She goes home, horny, calls her hubby, wants to have a little bit of Skype, FaceTime, whatever app they're using. And she's in her negligee and she's all ready for it. She ready for it. And he's like, hold that negligee, darling. I do not want that nip to slip because there's another chick in my bedroom, in my hotel room bedroom. And Dr. Naya is like, say what now? And he's like, oh, yes, darling. Let me just turn the phone to show this young lady who's with a guitar. You know, her husband's a musician, right? He's on the road. And this chick is like, ding, 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 ding. She's playing his guitar, if you know what I mean. And Naya is like, oh, ya got another chick in your... No. She hangs up on him. She's furious. We have like the next day she's at home in his room. He's a musician, right? He has all these guitars hanging off his walls, paintings, little drawings, little knickknacks, stuff that he collected throughout the years at concerts or what have you. Because in season 1, Dr. Naya became friends with Miranda. She's calling Miranda. Miranda is now in LA, by the way. She calls Miranda to tell her how terrible all this situation is. The guy's a douchebag. She's going to leave him. This is awful. And she's going to throw away all his guitars. She's going to throw away all his artworks. Like, she is having a nervous breakdown. She also tells him, before she hangs up on him the night before, that she also had an opportunity to go to bed with a really handsome fella. But she didn't. But she could. So at this point, it seems as though the husband is saying, well, then go for it. But we don't really know. It just feels that way. So I'm thinking this is the first relationship of all these girls or ladies that is going to kind of fall apart. And sooner or later, they're all going to fall apart. They have to. Otherwise, how do we go along with the storyline, right? I'm also thinking, when is Charlotte's relationship going to kind of blast with Harry? Because, it's a little bit too conservative and a little bit too repetitive. And it seems like the writers are using Charlotte's kids, Lily and Rose here, as the only way to push forth her story with Harry. Feels a little bit like that. Why am I saying this? Because, she's happy with Harry. There's nothing wrong with their relationship. Or so it seems. So the only complications we get is kind of the interaction that she has with her kids. Her kids are growing up, growing pains, teenage years, all of that, psychology going in. So it's kind of a really boring storyline that Charlotte has with her husband. There is none. It's a functional relationship, sexually and intellectually, so it seems. So it's kind of, there's no friction there. The only friction is with the kids. And so in this episode, what happens is Lily wants instruments, or one particular type of piano instrument or whatever, even though they already have like a really expensive piano in their house. But she wants an electric one or something like that. She has a beautiful voice. She's going through the motions. She writes songs, and the lyrics are very much about, my existence is troubled. Nobody understands, the stuff teenage kids goes through. Of course, when Charlotte hears her daughter sing those texts and lyrics, she's very sad. She probably starts thinking, I'm not a good mom, but she is a good mom. It's just the kids go through that phase. But Charlotte is also very strict together with Harry and says, you cannot get this new instrument. You already have an instrument, and, do something else, like find, earn your money to do it. Find a way to get the money to buy this instrument, blah, 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 blah. So what does Lily do? Lily sells her Chanel wardrobe. Not just Chanel, but like most of her fancy fashion clothes. And this is a hysterical plot line for this episode because the writers acknowledged something. They acknowledged that what is happening on social media, on TikTok and whatever, there's been a lot of talk about the real. Now, everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's alleged and just my opinion. By the way, subscribe and thumb up the video if you're enjoying it. But we've seen Bethany Frankel throwing major shade on TikTok at the Real for photographing a product that they're selling. And then when you buy that product, they send you that product, but a different item, meaning the photos were of the same model, the same style, but not of the actual piece you will be getting. Then people have been complaining that there's a lot of non-authentic products going on the Real allegedly. So there's a lot of issues there. So the writers of And Just Like That kind of took that, went with it, and I love that they used the Real, but they didn't want to get in trouble, so they didn't really use it. So in fact, so what happens is Lily calls the Real Deal to come to her home, evaluate her closet, take whatever they want from the closet and give her money for whatever they think the stuff that they're taking is worth. They give her the money, she buys the instrument. Okay, Charlotte finds out and is furious because she wants the memory of her kid's childhood, those Chanel outfits that she bought her. They're so cute. It's how Charlotte envisions her daughter growing up, but the daughter is like moving on. She's like, I'm not that kid anymore that wore that Chanel dress. I'm like, cha, imagine the kid that wears Chanel. Money. But that's besides the point. The point is that Charlotte thinks that Lily sold the stuff on the real. And so there's this little kind of back and forth where I love how the writers poked fun at the real and their moral integrity, to then, right before getting in trouble for it, they correct themselves and say, Charlotte is corrected, and they tell her, no. It's not the real, it's the real deal. But too late, because we already heard the real. So the shade was delivered. We got it. Very on point, very actual. You know, it's something that is going on right now. People having issues with the real. So I loved that they were very precise about that. But also, the real deal in the show is kind of sketchy because Lily is a minor. So I don't know legally how that would work out. Like if grown-ups come to a house that's empty, there's just a minor in the house that opens the door, lets them into the closet to take whatever they want, and then they leave her money. Charlotte says, well, they've misguided you. They've profited off of a minor because they gave you too little money for what these clothes are actually worth. So Charlotte goes on this crusade to get the clothes back, in particular that one Chanel dress. So she takes Carrie along on the ride, and they go to the Real Deal, one of the Real Deal standalone shops in the city. Maybe the whole show should be called Shop in the City. Real Deal in the city. So they go to the Real Deal, and this is that infamous scene where Carrie Bradshaw is wearing the J.W. Anderson pigeon clutch. Yes, we've seen quite a few people on social media wear that pigeon clutch. And enough said about that. So Carrie enters the store with the pigeon. She puts the pigeon on her head. She cradles the pigeon. She does a lot of stuff with the pigeon. The funniest scene was Carrie with the pigeon on her head. I thought, if they put the pigeon on her head, is the pigeon going to poop on her head? I thought that was hilarious. However, the comedic utilization of that pigeon was really good. Like, Carrie did all she could do with that pigeon. Like, all the funny stuff you can do with that pigeon, she did with that pigeon in the scene in the Real Deal shop. So she opens the wing of the pigeon to take the money out to pay. She puts the pigeon on her head. I mean, the pigeon does everything. Now, I don't know if Sarah Jessica Parker came up with the choreography with the pigeon or if somebody else told her what to do. Either way, I thought it was a brilliant use of that accessory. It made me want the pigeon. Yes, it made me want that freaking pigeon. I know. It's just guilty. Guilty as charged. It made me want the pigeon. But I digress. So, the pigeon, by the way, is made of nylon, and I think it's a 3D print. It's made in China. The pigeon is worth $20 tops, but J.W. Anderson charges you like $800 for it. So anyway, we want the pigeon, but we're not getting the pigeon, or are we? So anyway, Charlotte is attacking she's on her crusade. She's attacking the lady working at the Real Deal. It's this young lady who has no clue what's going down. She literally just is the sales associate working at the cash register. And Charlotte's like, where's this dress? She's like, I don't know. It's like, what do you do with your dresses? She's like, I don't know. Like, how can I find it? She's like, I don't know. So basically, this lady just keeps saying, I don't know. Charlotte gets more and more hysterical. Carrie is supposed to be on Charlotte's side, but Carrie is, just like me, total fashion addict. She sees something cute and fancy. She touches it. So Carrie finds a Sonia Rykiel boot. Not my kind of boot, but she found one that she liked. She lifts it. She's like, they have this boot. It's in pristine condition. And Charlotte's like, focus, help me battle the Real Deal. And Charlotte and Carrie's like, yeah, oh yeah, okay. But she keeps holding that boot. You know what that means. All of us shopaholics knows what that means. Once you touched it, you don't let it go. Oh yeah, this is, by the way. The perfume I'm wearing today. Cheap and Chic by Moschino. Not sponsored, but anyway. I use it for explaining something for episode 1. You might want to watch that review to find out more about what this means. But anyway, once you hold it, you don't let it go and you end up buying it. So Carrie's holding that boot throughout the whole scene, and Charlotte is about to explode. Carrie takes her to the side and says, "Honey, what is this all about? You are way over the top crazy right now with this poor sales associate. And like, what is this all about?" She's like, "Oh, and then the whole, shtick. Oh, I'm just, it's hard to let go of the childhood of your kids. And that dress was a memory and blah, blah, blah." And then Carrie tells her, "Listen, maybe Lily doesn't want that anymore. She has evolved into something new. Embrace it, Charlotte, embrace it." And then she's like, "Yeah, okay, fine, I will." And then Carrie says, "Okay, before we leave, can I buy the boots?" And then she buys the boots. They leave. Now, we have a little bit of a racial issue going on in this episode because Lisa, so her hubby, wants to take the kids out with the grandma. The grandma's coming to visit. Now, 2 instances happen. And I'm thinking to myself, when somebody is so wealthy, are these still issues? But apparently they are. So basically, so the kid's grandma is coming. So Lisa's daughter comes from school. She has this gorgeous hair, beautiful afro look. It's like just so beautiful, the beautiful curly hair. She looks adorable. And I kid you not, I felt so bad for her. Like, I was like, boy, they really wrote this scene to, I don't know, to really make us feel uncomfortable. Because, so he says, "Hey, my mom is coming. She cannot see our kid with that hair. Like, you can straighten the hair or do something." She's like, "We have no time to straighten her hair. What are you talking about?" So they made these cute little braids. She looked adorable even with braids. But I'm like, that poor kid is going to be traumatized because apparently the grandma, the whole shtick of the story is like, no, we've been deprived of everything. The white folk have always mistreated us and it's always been terrible. And so the only thing that you can, in the olden days could maintain was your dignity, and you're dignified by how you speak and how you present yourself. And so she wants her grandkids to be that sort of dignified. But I guess the grandma needs to update a little bit because there's nothing undignified about having your natural hair. It's actually really beautiful to embrace who you are. But we still have not had that conversation with the grandma. And now, a second instance that was very uncomfortable. So as the dad was taking the kids out, and they had to grab a taxi, no taxi would stop for him because he's black. The taxi drivers that were passing by were white, and he gets very upset. He kind of stops one of those taxis, stops in front of it, and starts banging on the top of the hood of the taxi. The grandma is passing by with her female friends, all in her age group. She sees what happens, and her friends say, "Isn't that your son?" And she's like, "No, it's not. No, it's not." So she completely ignores him, acts like she doesn't know him. Her grandchild sees her and says, "Grandma, Grandma." And she runs away from her grandkid. That broke my heart. Because I get it, the dignified. Then she had a conversation with her son telling him, "You do not yell like that. They've taken everything from us, but they will not take away our dignity." Like, I get it. But also, my dear lady, you do not ignore your grandkid like that. That is a vile thing to do, acting like you don't recognize your own grandchild just because you're embarrassed in front of your friends about what your son did to the taxi. And he had all the right to be upset. Did he overreact? He got physical. But I get it. But he got physical. And that's an altercation that can result in illegal activities, and you can get in a lot of trouble for that. So for sure, legally speaking, he didn't do something right. Morally speaking, however, different story. Because as we know, the law does not follow morals in a parallel way. Not at all. The law is made by rich people for the rich people. That's how things come into law. Very rarely does a law pass through that was made to help out the poor, to help out minorities. Rarely. So let's be very clear here. Morals do not equal law and legalities. No. So morally speaking, I get it that he was upset. Legally, the grandma could be like, hey, you could have gotten in a lot of trouble. And then she's right, but she's not right morally, because morally she literally faked, like she acted like she doesn't know him. And what is even worse, she acted like she didn't know her grandchild. And her granddaughter didn't do anything wrong. Her granddaughter was totally confused. She didn't know what was going on. She was like, why isn't the car stopping? When my white friend's dad stops a cab, it always stops. Why doesn't a cab stop for us? She was so confused. And then her grandma acts like she doesn't know her. That poor kid. I feel so sorry for that kid. So there's that scene. And I felt like it was very strange to plant that into this episode in that way. I felt like, where are we going with this now? I guess he's going to have a more in-depth conversation with his mother about how times are changing and how sometimes it's not enough to just be dignified. Sometimes you have to also tell people you're doing something wrong. Just my opinion. Now, we have an issue also. You see, the facade of Miranda and Che is also starting to crack, at least at the beginning of the episode. So we have Miranda and Che in LA, little rhyme. Che is about to start filming Che Pasa. Now, the show about Che's life. So I guess the writers thought it was funny and kind of cringe in a good way, because que pasa should be the original way of saying it, which means what's up, spelled Q-U-E. Que pasa, what's up? What's up? What's going on? But then they turned it into Che Pasa. And I mean, yeah, God. Anyway. So Tony Danza is the special guest star of this episode. And he looks mighty fine. That man ages like fine wine, doesn't he? So Tony Danza is in the show. Well, at least in this episode. And he's supposed to be Che's father. Now, Tony Danza is a bit of a bitch in this episode, though, and I'm like, interesting that Tony Danza would accept to do this part. Well, for the money, honey. But, and why am I saying this? Follow me here, you guys, because Tony Danza is acting as himself in this show. So it's not like he's playing out another character with another name. No. He is Tony Danza as Tony Danza in the show. But he meets up with Che to tell Che, listen, I know I'm your dad in the show. They cast me as your father in the show, but your father is Spanish. And I'm not Spanish. I'm Italian. I don't want to get canceled. I don't want people out there to come for me for cultural appropriation of some sort. So let's do it like this. I don't care. He didn't say this, but I'm interpreting between the lines, literally how Che felt. It's as if like Tony Danza said, I don't care about you. I only care about me. So let's reinvent your life. And Che's like, this sitcom is literally about my life. My father is Spanish. Tony Danza's like, yeah, but I'm not. So we're going to make your father Italian. We can make your mom Spanish. And Che's like, my mom is not Spanish though. Like I'm Irish, of Irish descent, Irish something mix. So Che's like, my dad is Spanish, mom is Irish something else. He's like, doesn't matter. We're going to make your mom Spanish. I'm going to be Italian. Che's like, there's nothing Italian in me. And I thought, ooh, this is quite ugly because we hear Tony Danza say this as Tony Danza, not as a character. Not so good, And I thought that doesn't put him in a good, I don't know. I felt iffy about Tony Danza all of a sudden after his dinner with Che. Louis says dad was Mexican. Yes, dad was Mexican. We're having doubts about the mother. If she was Irish, something. Anyway. So, yeah, but all of this is happening. Now, Miranda wanted to meet Tony Danza. Miranda is totally fangirling out when she sees Tony Danza at the stand-up comedy show when she went to see Che do stand-up comedy. Now, Che's stand-up comedy act, those couple of jokes that they wrote for Che were terrible. And again, I'm like, why are the writers sabotaging Sarah Ramirez so much? Like, they could have written a good joke for Che, but no. They did not write a good joke for Che, alas. So anyway, Miranda went to see Che, saw Tony Danza, wanted to hug Che. In one of those moments after the show, while merch was being debated and discussed, like kind of in the auditorium somewhere, shop area, whatever. And Che's like, don't touch me. And Miranda feels rejected. Miranda feels like, what's wrong? So they have a conversation later. Che starts crying and saying, Miranda, I'm so sorry. I didn't want to be such a bitch to you, but like, I feel so insecure. Earlier on, we also see Che struggling to be themselves in front of the producers of the show, trying to turn Che into something that Che is not. Just for the sake of what the producers think would sell the show better. So they're trying to make Che wear stuff that Che doesn't want to wear. They're trying to make Che change their hair in a way that Che doesn't want their hair to be. They want Che to start wearing a suit. Che says, I'm comfortable in a shirt, really. That's just who I am. And they're like, yeah, but this is better. And color your hair blue. And Che's like, but that's not me then. So I was totally on Che's side. I was like, that you can't, yes, support Che the way they are. Don't push them to be something they're not. So I felt for Che in that moment. And then apparently they were also telling Che to lose weight. And this is why Che became very self-conscious about their belly. So when Miranda came to hug Che was like, don't touch me, because they felt bad about their belly. So they finally break down at home because Miranda's like, hey, you don't like me anymore. And Che says, no, I love you. Or I don't know if love was used, but definitely said, no, it's not you, it's me. I feel so ugly. Hollywood and Los Angeles is telling me I'm too fat. They're telling me I don't look good enough for this part. They're telling me I have to change how I look. I have to change how I dress. I have to lose weight. So I feel so insecure right now. So of course, Miranda says, you're so beautiful, and hugs them. And then Che says, well, yes, I am beautiful. Thank you for telling me that. Let's have a pizza. And they order a pizza. So that was a cute moment of bonding. However, there's another situation that happens in this episode, which is hilarious. Remember at the beginning, I was telling you that Dr. Naya called Miranda to tell her that she's going to throw away all the guitars of her hubby because he wants to have an affair with that blonde little chick in his hotel room. What I didn't tell you is that Dr. Naya called Miranda while Miranda was trying to do something with her life. So Miranda doesn't know what to do in LA. Che is out working all day or all night. So Miranda's trying to find a purpose for herself in LA. So we know that Miranda had issues with drinking in season 1. Now in season 2, she has recognized and acknowledged the fact that she is an alcoholic, an addict. So she's going to the AA meetings in LA, right? So she goes to an AA meeting where she meets a woman who tells her, hey, if you have more spare time on your hands, you can come help us clean up the beaches of LA. It's charity work, but it can kind of make you feel good about yourself because you're doing something good for the environment. And it also makes you feel accomplished and fulfilled if you don't have anything else to do anyway, because you have a lot of free time on your hands while you're waiting for Che to come back home. So Miranda says, yeah, you know what? I'll do it. So Miranda goes with that chick to the beach and they start cleaning up all the algae. What's the plural of algae? Algae? Whatever. Seaweed. She starts cleaning up the seaweed. That's when the phone call arrives. That's when Naya calls to say what happened with the hubby. And Miranda's trying to talk with Naya, but like another fellow co-cleaner of the beach is looking at her and judging her like, you're not here for your entertainment, honey. Stop the phone call and get back to cleaning. So Miranda hangs up, gets back to cleaning. The lady that drove her to the beach has to leave earlier to pick her kids up from school or something. And Miranda says, oh, that's fine. I'll grab an Uber later. However, by the time she's done cleaning the beach, everybody else left. She's alone on the beach. She lost her phone. She can't call an Uber. She doesn't have a phone anymore. So she goes ballistic, starts digging through the seaweed, digging through the sand, hoping to find her phone. Needless to say, she doesn't find her phone. She's completely lost in the middle of nowhere. Walks up to a couple of surfer dudes who offer her some weed. She says no, but she says, please, can I use your phone? And she doesn't know Che's number. And then she goes, oh my God, I don't know anything about Che. I don't even know their number. But she remembers Carrie's number. She calls Carrie, says, Carrie, give me Che's number. I have to call Che. I'm stranded here. Carrie gives the number. Miranda calls Che, says, I know nothing about you. You know, there's like, oh my God, I don't even know your phone number. Che's like, well, nobody knows anybody's phone number nowadays. Everything is digital. And Che says, but I have an idea. Because Miranda says, what are we going to do? You got to meet with Tony Danza. You got to have your conversation about the show with Tony Danza. We were supposed to have dinner together. Now I can't make it back home in time. So you go with Tony Danza on your own, have your dinner with Tony Danza or lunch. And that's where Tony Danza tells Che, I don't want to be your Mexican dad. I want to be your Italian dad. While all of this is happening, somebody comes to pick up Miranda. Somebody that Che organized to pick up Miranda. Miranda gets picked up by this guy in this gorgeous purple truck. Now that's a purple I want to have. Oh, my Samantha moment. And so the purple truck picks her up. She sits down and says, so thank you so much for picking me up, but who might you be? The guy says, oh, I'm Che's husband. Now Miranda, at this point, she knows she has no clue. Che never told her that they were married to a dude and that they were still married to a dude. Che was in New York. The dude is living in LA. Miranda's like, you're Che's husband? Well, we'll go. And the guy's like, yeah. So where can I drop you off? She's like, home. So Miranda is now at home waiting for Che to finish dinner with Tony. Che comes home and Miranda's like, you're married? I don't know your phone number. You know, all of this, like all of these problems, you know, I can't hug you. There's like nothing, like what is going on here? And Che says, oh yeah, I was just too lazy to get divorced from him. Like we was like together, but like, whatever. It's like, whatever. Miranda's like, this is not whatever. Like, and then Che says, this is my phone number. And then they tell her the phone number. And then Miranda memorizes the phone number. And it's kind of a bonding moment. But truth be told, it also felt very much like the cracks are there in this ceiling. However, don't think that Che is going to be gone pretty soon. Because look at this. I mean, I say like this poster looks like the Final Supper. Why are they reenacting the Final Supper? And who's Judas? Was Judas on the left or on the right side of Christ in that Leonardo da Vinci painting? Because if Carrie's supposed to be Jesus, which one of the two is the Judas moment here? Or which one of the two is the Judas moment here? A bit weird, this table setup, if you ask me. But, and just like that, Naya's relationship collapsed and Miranda's and Che's is starting to wibble wobble. You know, like kids, the first teeth that they have, the first ones that kind of swim out and fall out and then their final teeth grow in. It almost feels like something is going to happen. We haven't seen Steve yet, so we don't know. Is Miranda going to go back to Steve? because I still believe that Steve was amazing, and they've not done justice by Steve in the first season. I think they really mistreated him a lot. So, plus, we're definitely going to be seeing Miranda's and Steve's son. There he is in season 2. So I'm sure Steve is going to come into play sooner or later. This basically ends episode 2 of And Just Like That. There's definitely some build-up. As you can see, episode 1, go check out my review of episode 1. It all started lighthearted and vibey, but now with episode 2, we're already getting into the nitty-gritty of stuff. There's going to be 11 episodes this season. So we're going to have to wait another 9 episodes to get to finally see Samantha in that one cameo snippet of her on the phone. But hey, I'm living on a day-to-day basis, just surviving to get to see Sam for that one scene, you know, living ferret. So, oh, there was one more instance. Oh, thanks, Debbie. Yes, with Seema. So that one, you see, I didn't really feel that storyline that much. That's why it's kind of passed by me. Well, first of all, Seema is, I want to say almost always when we see Seema, we see her wearing a Fendi bag. Okay, I've seen her wear a Fendi peekaboo. I think she also had a baguette. And they're usually neutral tones. And there was also a third one. I think I saw her wear 3 Fendi bags in one episode. So her issue was, like we've seen already, the situation with the guy that she's dating. He's also still married. Or lives with his ex still in the same house. So Seema is like, okay, bye. We're not doing this. She goes to complain about this, as apparently she always does, to her hairstylist. A hairstylist she's been going to for decades. And the guy kind of is very rough to her and tells her like what he thinks about the situation. She doesn't like being called out. She says, I'm never coming back to you again. She, you know, does a huge, kind of raises a huge scene and leaves. But then comes back after several days because her hair is a mess. She can't deal with her hair without him. He kind of knew that nobody else would be able to tame that lioness's hair as good as he can. So when she does finally come back to him and apologizes, he takes her back and tells to everybody else in the space, Seema is my number 1 client. And I don't know, well, she kind of ends it with the guy, with the Prada. I still call him the Prada guy because in the original Sex and the City, he was the Prada worker. But he's a different character now. He kind of owns a couple of clubs, you know, in the city. So anyway, he's kind of shocked that she's kind of like not having it. So he wants to maybe still try something with her. We don't know. We're going to see in episode 3, they might have another interaction with each other or not. But that relationship seems, but to be honest with you, I never really felt that relationship was going anywhere already in season 1. And why am I saying this? Just because the way that kind of I'm used to the writing of not just And Just Like That, but also of Sex and the City. It's like usually when the guys that these ladies are dating, when they are club owners, musicians, like entertainers, book authors, writers, like, and this is something that I find really a little bit despicable, if I have to be honest with you, because it almost feels like the showrunners are jealous. Like they don't want their characters to date other creative people. Like they're bitter, like they've had bad experiences with creative people. So they're like, never date a creative person. Why am I saying this? Because whenever the girls date somebody who's creative, it never ends well. It always falls apart. The relationship falls apart. So, you know, when Carrie dated Berger, the book writer, fell apart. When she dated the other book writer, the guy who couldn't get a hard on, oh no, the guy who always came after 5 seconds, ended well, and didn't end well. You know, now the club owner, Naya's musician. Whenever there was like something creative going on with the guy, they end up not being with them. Which is such a cliche if you think about it. Who does Carrie marry? A business guy. Stable income. All the artistic guys she dated, doesn't care. She ended up with Mr. Big. Charlotte, okay, we knew from the get-go she wanted a lawyer or a business dude, and she got herself a lawyer. Miranda, she could afford to marry a waiter, but a waiter is not creative. A waiter, he's a nice guy, does the job, follows orders. She's the lawyer. So they allowed her to marry somebody underneath her. Like, she was the token successful woman that had the power. So she could marry somebody beneath her, but still not a creative person. She married the little guy who does the job. You see? And Samantha, we don't know how it would have gone for Samantha had they written her into the show if Kim Cattrall wanted to come back. I don't know how season 1 would have looked like if Kim Cattrall were in the show. But Samantha never settled because Samantha was the creative one. You know, yes, she was doing PR, but she was the loose cannon of the show. She was the one that always had the creative verve, let's do this to do that. Oh, try a little, experiment, darling. You know what I mean? She was the one that was of this quadrecta. She was the one that was the more kind of inventive. And so she was seen as the artsy one that never got settled. So I think the writers should kind of break that pattern a little bit and get out of that cliche. And maybe they're trying to do that with Miranda and Che. But Miranda's already starting to show kind of, you know what, I'm done with this creative person. So I do believe that, again, it's not going to end well for them too. Not because Che is gender non-conforming, because Che was born a woman and now isn't anymore. Not because of that. If their relationship falls apart, it's because Che is an artist. And that is the cliche of Sex and the City. Really silly. Now, the stupidest part of the episode was Carrie breaking up with Franklin, but breaking up while they were trying to figure out how she should properly phrase an ad sponsorship on her podcast, Sex and the City, about vaginal cleanser. And so a woman that spends her career writing a column about Sex and the City and talking about all things uncomfortable to talk about, but that we all love to read about, and here she is, and just like that, she was not capable to read a couple of lines about a vaginal cleanser. So they were trying to make a couple of jokes about the vajayjay, this, vajayjay, that, vajaz this, vajaz that. And she doesn't want to do it. With Franklin, she tries to rewrite the text. She tries to rewrite the script. She's thinking about it. The other character of the show that works on the podcast, the lady in the wheelchair, I forgot that character's name. She's very aggressive towards Carrie and says, like, snap out of it. She's like the Cher in Moonstruck. She's like, snap out of it, woman. Do the sponsorship or we're all going to be out of a job. And she's like, just do it. And Carrie finally decides she's going to do it after she rewrote it, or she kind of found a different phrasing for it, but it's too late. It's too late. The sponsorship, not just that one, apparently other sponsors also pulled out. There is no more money. The podcast is done for. And just like that, Sex and the City was over. So Carrie's podcast is over, but she's still together with Franklin, walking away from the closing of the podcast. And she says, what are we going to do next? Let's start something next. Let's try something new. And he's like, well, Carrie, you didn't want to see me on a Tuesday. I think I want more from you than just having sex on a Thursday. So I don't think I want to do another work endeavor with you because I want more. I could not keep this just professional between us. And I have the feeling you just want my body on a Thursday, darling. And then she's like, yes, I want your body on a Thursday, but I don't want your brain on a Tuesday. keep giving me the body on a Thursday and we're good. We'll go. And he's like, no, honey, I also want the brain. She's like, tough titty. Bye. And she leaves. And it's over betwixt them. So that's done. So that relationship also kind of fell apart already in episode 2. So I guess now we're just waiting for Aiden to come back because we've seen them filming on the streets. Aiden is back in the show. So Aiden is going to pop up and she's probably going to be like, hi, Aiden, let me date you and drop you again like a hot potato. You know, I mean, he's married, so I wonder if he's going to leave his wife for her. Aiden, poor Aiden. But yes, Nettie says in the chats, it is a total trope. Never date creatives because they're unreliable. If I had a nickel, every time somebody told me that, because, you know, I'm an artist too. If I had a nickel. Oh, Debbie, that's a great point. Debbie says in the chats, Carrie, after Franklin and her break up, she goes back home. She fires up her computer all over again, just like she did in Sex and the City when she would be writing, you know, and I couldn't help but wonder. I wonder if the voiceovers will come back, says Debbie. I hope so. It only took them a whole season. I hope we're going to get to hear her voice as a voiceover again pretty soon in the next episodes. I mean, here's hoping, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Nettie says, I don't believe it, but I heard it 100 times during my 20s and 30s. Oh, Nettie. They always say, they still today, they say it. Oh, you're an artist? Lovely. You know how many times I was stood up on a date, or the date didn't even show up, or they would cancel? Like, okay, so I go out on a date. We have a fun time. Sooner or later, inevitably, the question pops up, what do you do for a living? I kid you not. 90% of the time, I see their faces drop when I say, I'm an artist. They go like, and I never see them again. Story of my life. Bible says, I always loved Carrie's commentary voiceover in Sex and the City. That was classic. Me too. That was classic. And that's what I've been saying to you guys. That's what I miss in this show. Like, it's not enough to just have her at the end of every episode say, and just like that, off screen, and just like that, something, something. Like, no, girl, talk to us, honey. Talk to us throughout the show. Give us that ditzy commentary that you always gave. It made the show more fun. Anyway, that was the review of episode 2. If you doth enjoyeth it, thumbeth it up and subscribeth to my channel. And stay tuned for a review of episode 3 coming up as soon as I watch it. Love you loads, guys. Subscribe. So we'll go. So there you go. There you have it, y'all. Let me take a little sippy. And that's... I truly love your review and commentary more than even I thought I would. Oh, Rana Ladkani. Thank you so much. Oh, incantations. Thank you for subbing, sweetie. Well, you guys, it has been a doozy. I am so happy to be back live streaming on Totally Jacob. It's been a year. Oh, Gloria Recinos.
You hooked me, Jacob. I'm totally watching season 2.
Yay, Gloria! I'm glad because listen, you're going to hear a lot of reviews on the tubes and they're all going to be like, this is so awful. I hate it. No, I don't hate it at all. I am loving my Sex and the City. I still call it Sex and the City. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't call it in just like that. I just call it Sex and the City. I love Sex and the City. I love my girls. I love all of them, even the new characters. Is there problems with the writing? Sure. Oh, hey, H.A. How's it going, sweetie? Oh, hi, H.A. Love this channel. Terrified of horror, but I still love it. No, there's no horror. Don't worry. Also, Zara Justina, I saw you a little bit earlier up there. Hi, sweetie. This was a lot of fun. I can't wait for episode 3. Oh, thanks, Bible. Yeah. This is... I'm really looking forward to episode 3. I'm glad that there's going to be 11 episodes instead of 10. I'm also super happy for the... Oh my God, what happened? Oh, Papa Grenade. Yes, Papa Cherry. No, Grenade. Papa Cherry for Gloria Recinos, who said, you hooked me. I'm going to watch season 2 now. Thank you so much, sweetie. I forgot to Papa Cherry. Good old Bubbles knows. So I did watch, before I did the live stream, I did watch a couple of reviews online and... just to like see what other people are saying. And there she is. Zara Justina's there. Super happy our show is back. Oh, me too, Zara. And also want to say, it's my birthday month. I was born on the 30th of June, 237 years ago. One is a vampire, but we digress. I just want to say I'm so happy that the show came back in June. It's like a special birthday present treat for me to have the show, during my birthday. It's super fun. And I do enjoy how much they pack into these episodes now. Like episode 2 was full of information and it's going places. You know what I mean? They're setting up a lot. Like episode 2 was rich and dense. So there's a lot of potential for things to happen. You know what I mean? And I'm sure things will happen. I mean, listen, in 9 episodes, a lot can happen. If this much happened in 1 episode, girl, the world can change in an episode. So imagine in 9 episodes. It's 4 days to go, HA. Birthday queen. Oh my gosh. Birthday countdown. Oh, I'm getting terrified. Me and my birthdays, I'm not, we'll go. But yeah. I'm gonna watch it now. You've converted me, says Nettie. It's fun, and then we can review it together because, Debbie also watched it, so it's kind of good to know. And thanks, Debs. Debbie also helps me out because if I'm kind of letting one storyline go, Debbie's like, don't forget, mention the podcast. So you can also pitch in. So while I'm reviewing, I might forget one detail or one storyline, and then you could hey, Deco, like Debbie just did. If you notice, she was giving me she was my usher. Debbie was my usher. Debbie was like, what about the podcast, y'all? What about the podcast? So, yeah, my cue card. My cue. And so that's and just like that, y'all. And, oh, sorry, hold on just a second. My little fan is going bananas. Hold on. Okay, little fan. All right. It's a little bit aggressive. Hold on, y'all. Okay. Debbie's like, I'm a cue card. You're a cucumber card. Ciao, we'll go. So have you enjoyed this live stream? Do you want me to do it again as a live stream, or should I pre-record these? What's better? What do you guys think? Should we do it like this, and then during the live stream record also well, next week it's going to be 1 episode, not 2 episodes. So today we recorded 2 episodes, 2 episode reviews, but next week it's going to be just 1. So we have a little bit of a conversation between us also, and then we record that one particular episode. So HA says, I don't watch the show, but you made me curious. So great live. Oh, great. Thanks, guys. And I also really wanted to do this first live stream to explain who the characters are, because I know that a lot of people don't watch it, so you don't really know who we're talking about. At least this, when we have this little Last Supper, just in the background always, we kind of always know who's who, At a certain point, you always know, we talk about Lisa, that's Lisa. Talk about Naya, that's Naya. Talk about Miranda, Carrie, Charlotte, Seema, Anthony, Brady, Lily, and Rock. Oh, yeah. Che, Harry, I forgot the other hubby. Still learning the names of the hubbies. Herbert. Totally enjoyed this. More, please, says Corey K. Rana says, love the live streams on either channel. Thank you so much, sweetie. Well, that was our live stream today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope I doth have been a good host. I hope I was positive enough, not, there's enough critical reviews out there of this show. Like, if you want to hate watch, there's enough reviews out there that are hate watching. But honestly, I think hate watching stuff in general is kind of a little bit passé. So it's a little bit, it's very 2022. You know what I mean? Very 2021. Very 2022. We can, evolve from that. You know what I mean? Just saying. Thumb up the live stream, subscribe, and I'm going to see you all next week with the review of, and just like that, episode 3, season 2. Bye. Love you loads. Take care.